Hey y'all, my name is Lucas Johnson.
And I'm Patryk Labuzek.
Welcome to Project Dream Mastery, a podcast for dreamers, creatives, and entrepreneurs who want to live a happier, more purposeful, and passionate life that is on their own terms. Oh boy, I have something incredible to bring to your attention today, and it is going to be what I like to say, epic. And as Patty likes to say, amazing. Today, we're going to be focusing on finding love through traveling. And let me tell you, there's probably going to be some really, really interesting stories that I brought up during this episode. Don't you think, Patty? Because I think maybe both of us had a little bit of love during our trips in the last 2 or 3 years that came out of the blue.
100%. Plenty of stories, as always, related to travel. I'll supposedly just take it up and see where this episode takes us.
But Patty, I didn't say it was just going to be love for someone else or a person. Finding love through traveling comes in all different shapes and forms. I mean, heck, we were in Bali, Indonesia, in the middle of absolute nowhere. And we fell in love with the people. The people were so kind and loving and so generous. They gave things off their back just to us to help us go about our way. It was so kind just to see the love in action, man. And kind of makes me think, and I was sitting there actually on my couch here earlier thinking about this, man, is with COVID, the last year has been unbelievable from every lens that you look at it through. Looking at how people are interacting and showing support and love to each other, for each other, and in other forms. They're doing their best to be there for each other. So Patty, over the last year, how has your way of looking at love changed or altered or shifted?
Well, Lucas, like you said, like you said, love, the definition of love, we can be talking about 100 different things. It doesn't need to be love for a different person. It could be love for different things. It could be love for an experience. It could be love of a moment, of a place, of people, of cultures. And to answer your question, how my love or how the love throughout the year has changed for me, I've started to enjoy the little things. Because all the travel stuff, going out on a plane, traveling around, hell, even going out for a drive to the other side of Ireland, I can't do it for the past year. I've started to appreciate those little moments more and more, such as taking a walk into the park and to like a local forest, seeing my friends more, seeing my family more, especially now that I have moved away from home. It's those little things kind of now during COVID times that keep me sane.
Oh boy, man. There's so many things to just be, so happy for, so excited for. There's so much anticipation too. One of the things I actually fell in love with, and this sounds really cheesy, and you see it in every single episode that we have, is this coffee cup. I never really drank coffee, and you know this, Patty. I was always a guy who was drinking my gallon of water or going out and getting my almond milk or chocolate almond milk, as one of our friends showed us there in Australia. It's like, oh, what's chocolate almond milk? It's a different story. But I fell in love with this cup right here. And it's really, or this mug, as some might say. It's really interesting because I never really enjoyed the taste of coffee, and I never understood Patty's love for coffee. But whenever I started to get immersed into being home every single day in this remote environment and not being able to travel, not being able to go out and about and do the things that I normally do that I absolutely love. You can see all the video gear I have over there. I love it. So does Patty. I started to find the little things, like you said, like this mug. And this mug for me represents that I have a new light of my life. I have something that's going to bring a little bit of joy, just a little bit. And I don't know what happened. This coffee cup, it represents I'm going to get something nice and hot. It's going to wake me up. It's going to add a little enjoyment to the flavor to my day. And over the last year, I've had more coffee than I think I've ever had in my entire life, which is pretty great. But I've started to see things through a different lens. It's allowed me to look at things and be like, all right, well, I used to wonder why everyone had to have all these cups of coffee every morning. You used to hear about it in songs, get your coffee in the morning. And then I started drinking it and I started to fall in love with it. It's kind of like beer too. When you first drink beer, you don't like beer. And then all of a sudden you, for some reason, love beer, alcohol in general. And it's just really, for me, man, it's falling in love with the little things. That's the whole point of this. Is over the last period of a year, 365 days, I think we just passed it here in the States. You fall in love with the little things, working remote, having a job. And then you start to look at the bigger things, the bigger concepts, like traveling, like those pictures on your wall, the places that you visited, the places that you went to. I see Thailand. I see the Sydney Opera House in the background there. And each one of those represents something that we, and I know you as well, because those are your photos, but I was with you. We fell in love with those moments in time. And every single time that we have those memories, those little tiny things, they make us reminisce on the things that we love, the things that we want to have in our life forever, to have those permanent memories.
That's exactly it. Whenever I think of, let's say, traveling, I always go back to maybe a handful of trips. Or to be honest, every single trip that I did, I have a single place that I absolutely fell in love with. And that's what I try to do. You know, I try to take the pictures, I try to take the videos. I've moved recently into doing vlogs, and I've been impacted by you, Lucas, obviously. And it brings me a little bit of joy. But those pictures or those videos that I take, these are kind of memories of the love that I have for those places. I turn around now, I look at each of those pictures, and it brings back unique memories that I never had before, things that I've never encountered before, new people that I met along the way, the place that I really, really fell in love with. So they're not just any pictures that I put on the wall or any pictures that I print out or that I post on my blog, or that they're moments. They're moments captured through a lens that I relate with, that I vibe to, that always bring a smile on my face. As you can see now, a big, gigantic banana, just when I think about it. And like you mentioned, Sydney Opera House there, the first picture on the left, that's our common shared memory. That's our biggest trip of our lives to Australia. That's where we met. That's where we started thinking outside the box. We started thinking about what we could do together because we're vibing in such a great way. How?
Such a 2020 word, 2021 word. We're vibing.
We're vibing. But that's how I would put it, honestly. We're absolutely vibing. And Project Dream Mastery is a fruit of that.
Exploring your dreams, defying expectation, loving deeply are the three components that make us and bring us together. If we can bridge those divides and we can start to push and past the boundaries, push past our own comfort zones, we get to explore some of these really amazing ideas that once were just an idea, but now have only become reality because we are pushing past those limits. And one of the things that I think of when I think about the moments we had to overcome, but also put ourselves in the position to overcome, is when we arrived in Denpasar, Bali, Indonesia. And I think this was the first time that I have ever been in a country where I was truly scared shitless. I'm going to be honest. I traveled to Australia by myself. First time traveling international. First time traveling by myself at all. I always traveled with family. And then going to Indonesia, I don't know what got into me. It's just like, all right, I have the travel bug. Let's do it. And when we got there, it was really just unbelievable. So beautiful. I think I had more kind of self-reflection during that time in my life, during that 2 or 10 days. Outside of being sick, I had a lot of time to really reflect on who I was as a person, where I am in my current point in time. It made me really, truly fall in love with what that feels like. You know, some people get a runner's high. Some people get a traveler's high. That's where I was. I fell in love with that. And I don't know if it's something that we get so scared of pursuing our travels, because after we kind of go into this kind of like coma per se of not being able to explore and not be able to bring that all together, that we get lost on our way, and it makes us want to change things.
100%. And I feel most of the people that do travel, that those who have the travel bug, The first few weeks or months into the COVID pandemic have been very, very tough. And I'm speaking from my own personal experience. I mean, the first 2 or 3 months, I had trips planned. I had trips planned a year ahead. I knew that I'm gonna go over to USA. I know I'm gonna go and see you. I knew we had a trip planned to Costa Rica, which was gonna be absolutely insane. It was supposed to top all the trips we did, and I was planning for that. I had this mindset that this trip is gonna be the trip of my lifetime. You know what I mean? The bar was just getting higher and higher and higher with every trip. And I did go to India just before the pandemic hit, or actually during the pandemic. That I had to return home early because my flights got cancelled. And it's a long story to tell, maybe for a different time. But what I'm saying is, we had all these plans, all these travel plans, and within 24 hours since our countries announced the global pandemic, everything closed down. International travel was closed. No planes. You couldn't buy flights. It was absolutely insane. So me, for one, I definitely felt lost for 3 months, just because I was traveling constantly. Or when I wasn't traveling, I was thinking about traveling, making plans to travel. So, that kind of went to that halt. But it was just very, very interesting to see how I was taking things for granted. I was taking flying to another country for granted. And now, whenever we can travel again, I feel like that's going to be the trip of my lifetime, because I'm going to appreciate it so much more. So much more than any other trip before. And I feel like I'm going to fall in love with the whole experience all over again.
I'm scared, buddy. I'm scared. I'm also excited. It really kind of opens up the door to these new lenses, these new possibilities. And a lot of us get stuck in this way of thinking that, all right, this is the way it's going to be. It's a straight line. But that's so far from the truth, man. And one of the things that comes to mind whenever I want to jot this down and kind of put together a roadmap of what this looks like is something like this. And if you're watching, you can see that I just scribbled a bunch of lines on a piece of paper. That's what this journey looks like, man. You can start here and you can work your way down straight all the way down here. But all of a sudden you hit an intersection and it crosses, man. You have to figure out what you're going to do at these intersections right here. You have to figure out what's going to be the next step in your life. Are you going to go right? Are you going to go left? Are you going to go diagonal? We have all these possibilities that we can do. We fall in love with the journey because there's no cap on what you can do whenever you're out into the world of exploring. And Patty, you, my friend, are someone that is so spontaneous. I don't even have a word to describe you, because being spontaneous is not the perfect word. It is the word. You are so spontaneous,
well,
man.
I'm glad you brought up the whole aspect of possibilities and spontaneity at the same time, because if you remember correctly, and going back to what you're saying about our Indonesian trip, that happened during our spring break, if you remember correctly, right? And I was undecided up until the last minute what I want to do, because having been able to live in Australia gave me so many possibilities to see all those different countries, as well as Australia. And the Goon Squad, our group, was absolutely gigantic. Smaller groups created within it, subgroups, let's say. And people were doing different things. There were a lot of different trips going on at the same time, because that was spring break, right? And so many different trips, and I couldn't make up my mind. I was just like, I had no idea. And then you might not recall the moment, but I definitely do. We went to Coogee Beach for a cup of coffee when you guys were planning the trip to Bali. When you guys were booking the flights and the hotels and all that kind of stuff. And I was still very undecided, but I went for a cup of coffee with you. To this very nice cafe, by the way. Would love to revisit. Anyway, I'm getting kind of off the topic here. I was undecided up until the point I came in, got my cup of coffee, and we had a conversation about the trip, right? And right there, I made up my mind that this is the right decision. I don't know if this is exactly the place I want to go to, Indonesia, right now, but it is a place I want to go to with a group of people. Mm-hmm. I fell in love, and I'm going to use this word again, the vibe of the group. I loved it. I loved the atmosphere. I loved what we were doing. I loved each and everyone's single personality, and it all came together. And I felt like this is the right decision. This is the opportunity to take. And we made it happen.
You're going with multiple people in this direction versus just yourself. You're going down this line. It's all these lines.
That's exactly it. That relates to what you were drawing there, the map. You never know. You're taking turns, bends, ups and downs, and you come over to an intersection, and it's up to you to take the left turn or the right turn.
It's funny because life, it's not like a train. It's not like a subway where you have to go this direction, or if you go too fast, all of a sudden you're gonna. It's not like that. In life, you can go all the way this direction and then stop. You can be running at that direction as fast as possible, but yet, if you give yourself enough time to stop and think, you can go any direction you want. And that's what life's about. You can fall in love on these journeys. You can do, and I actually was listening to this here. It's about just having fun, taking risks, inspire people, impact people. That's what I took away from someone that I would love to get on the show. His name is Matt from Yes Theory, and he recently just took a step back from being in videos on the channel. And one thing we have in common is we're all in our 20s right now. Being in your 20s is the time to go out and find love. And that doesn't have to be relationships. I was actually in the process of reading a book by Ben Stewart, as well as listening to Sadie Robertson's podcast that she had him on there called, well, that's good podcast. That's it. And one of the things that kind of came to me is reading this is being comfortable being single. There is nothing wrong with being single. Singleness is great. What else in your life are you going to have the time to do whatever you want? The possibilities are endless. You can get up, run towards that line, and then stop, end the moment, and go any direction because you are single. Yes, you have family, you have connections, you have people that make up your tribe, but you don't have a relationship quite yet. That's going to make you're going to have to slow down slower and slower when you have someone else that's next to you, unless you're going on the same journey with that person. So if you have so much synergy with the person that you're in a relationship with, maybe it's your wife, your girlfriend, and you guys can keep on going, and then you can run and then stop and go in this direction together. Like Patty and I, we get up and run, and then we all of a sudden stop and let's go this way. That's the kind of relationship you want to have. And if you're not ready for that, then love might be a different vision, might be a different way of approaching it. Like you, Patty, falling in love with getting that coconut. And I always want to go back to that because it amazes me. It amazes me that a man who knows what he wants so bad and so deeply. And I'm sick as a dog. I had stuff coming out from everywhere. I was so sick in Bali. I had Bali belly. I had a bacterial infection. I had parasite. Like I got everything when I was there. But this one story, man, a man that's determined and he loves something so much that he would do in anything to make sure it became a reality.
Well, that's exactly it, Lucas. We've been talking about dreams, defying expectations for 32 episodes now, right? That's what Project Dream Mastery is about. That's what we're about, me and you. And like I said previously in many, many episodes, in order to achieve dreams, we have to aim high and we have to go for it. There's no point waiting around for it to come to you if you don't make the move. You have to go and grab it yourself. And it might not always be by yourself. I didn't climb that coconut tree. As I said before, I could, but I wouldn't be able to go down. And I didn't really like jumping off a tree up to the pool. It's too dangerous. As spontaneous as I am. But sometimes you just need that help to get what you want. But determination is key. Determination is key. And that's it. I'm determined right now, as probably are you, just to get over with COVID at this stage, put it behind us and just laugh at it 10 years down the road. Be like, do you remember that time?
I don't know if laugh is a proper word, but...
the laugh is not the proper word. But looking back at the situation in 10 years' time, you'd be thinking, look where we were there, when we were there, how different life was, how it is great now. And the way I look at this is a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster. You go up very slowly. It's up the hill. It's very, very difficult for many of us. But you know that at the end, you will reach that peak. And from then on, it's vertically down. And you pick up the speed, you pick up the momentum. And that's what this is all about. The moment we are here right now is just a temporary pause in our lives. Like you said, we're in our 20s. We've got so much things to explore. But the most important thing, we need to explore what we love. And that is throughout everything. What do we love? I love my coffee, but it's not the coffee that I love that I need it. It's the smell of coffee. It's the time that I make the coffee. It's when I sit down and smell or sit down and talk with friends with the coffee. It brings back memories and puts it all together. It puts it in, it becomes happiness, essentially. Same as with the coconut. I can't imagine my holiday in a tropical country like Indonesia without a fresh green coconut in my hand. It's a correlation.
Patty, there's a bunch of points here. So two points. First one, our business partner, Eric, he is such a vital part of not only Project Dream Mastery, but also Coachington. And we brought him in here in January of 2021. Since then, I've learned so much about him from more of a business sense, but also from kind of like what he loves and what his passions are and what he really wants to do with his life. We all have something very, very identical in the way we look at things. But we also have completely different views too. One of the things that I really appreciate about him is when we were in that same journey there in Indonesia and we had scooters. Eric, he went and he always loves to try new things. And heck, that's what we're here to do, is try new things, make a memory. Poor Eric got on this scooter and he started driving. He was doing so great. And all of a sudden, he slips into the ground. But the thing that made him different than someone else that would have fell on that scooter, and he had blood and all over him, all this stuff was gross. But at the same time, the one thing that Eric did, he wasn't complaining. He wasn't upset. He wasn't angry. That guy got right up. He goes, Lucas, can I ride with you? It's like, man, you want to get cleaned up? He's like, yeah, man, we'll take care of this later. It's like, yeah, get on the back, man. I'll scooter you anywhere, man. No, nothing. A man that got slammed to the ground got right back up and said, man, I'm here only for 10 days. I want to make memories and I want to do it now. What are you going to do right now to impact your future? What are you going to do right now to change your life? What are you going to do right now to make those traveling adventures more of adventures? And then point number 2 out of what you said there, Patty, is taking time to enjoy the small things, going right back to where we started. Sometimes you just need to turn the power off and think about the things that are right in front of you. Literally, you can go to your power box and I did it the other day. It was incredible. Everything was turned off. You take the moments to enjoy the things that are right in front of you. Decompress to figure out where you need to be. So if you're going to take the time right now, do that. If you can't travel, fall in love with me time. There's nothing wrong with that. Fall in love with you time. Fall in love with family time. Think about where you want to go next. The journey is just starting. Patty, where are we going next, buddy? Where are we traveling to? Give me, name it off the top of your head.
Possibilities are absolutely endless. Especially now that we've got so much PTO saved up and ready to be used. We could take 3 months off, just jet off to summer. Costa Rica has always been our plan, and I'm determined to make it happen.
The time is now. It is happening. We are going to do it. You know, one of the things I love about doing this podcast is the fact whenever you have to go through and try to make these episodes perfect. What happened just now is I got a notification from a few friends and I forgot that we were doing the screen recording on this episode. And I absolutely love the platform we use to record these. What it makes me think about, Another small thing that I love. This year, we weren't able to travel. Last 365 days. July of 2020, something unbelievable started. It changed my life. It shaped my future. And it's known as Project Remastery. Patty, I wouldn't be here right now, obviously, doing this if there wasn't a reason why I really loved doing it. So what I want to come back to here is think about what you love doing and seeing if you still want to do it tomorrow. Because if it's not worth it, what the heck are you doing? Wow. What an episode, huh? There's so many travel stories about falling in love too. When we first got to Australia, we met with all those people. Patty, did you have any like romantic relationships or anything? Or were you kind of like, oh man, I was traveling, I really don't want one, but wow, it just feels so right. Did anything like that come about when you were
right? It's very interesting that you bring it up because I've been telling this to a few people. No, I didn't, and it's one simple reason why not. I just wasn't interested. I fell in love with the time that I had, and I wanted to make the most out of it. I didn't want distractions. I didn't want to. You can call me selfish, but that was my time. That was my time to shine. That was my 6 months. And then, I would go back home and things would pick up again with school, with jobs, with like interviews and final year projects and all that kind of stuff. But those 6 or 7 months in Australia, they were me time. I was there to travel. I was there to meet new people. And I was there focusing on what feels right. So maybe if something did came up in routine and felt right, I'm not saying that I wouldn't pick up a relationship, for instance, but nothing felt right talking about romantically, right? In that sense. But I fell in love with so many different things while I was in Australia. And that's sunrises. Waking up at 4 a.m. to see the sunrises. That's taking the bus to Darling Harbour to see you and knowing that it's going to be fun. It's always going to be positive. Having our conversations, taking out my camera everywhere I went with to taking pictures, for the memories. So many things I fell in love with during my time in Australia.
Oh man, just so incredible. We have so many memories and stories from these places we've traveled to. I mean, even some of the stories we have from traveling around the US for 28 days,
Yeah.
road tripping 10,000 miles throughout the country. We came in contact with thousands of people from all over the world. It's the best part. People from all over the world, but yet also all over the country along this journey. When we were in Blue Hole, when we were exploring that, it was 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh my goodness. 0 degrees Celsius or something like that. It was cool. I remember coming in contact with some of these amazing people, and it made me kind of reminisce back to the days when we were youth, when we were children. You didn't care about anything but having fun and enjoying life and making new friends. And I missed it. If anything, from this travel, from this adventure, from Blue Hole, all the places I could have named, that's the first one that came to mind because there's probably 200 people there. And it was scary to go to a place like that in the middle of nowhere and see people like that from all over the world and just say, wow, I want to have fun. Let me go put on a bathing suit. We did the whole kind of go to the back of your car and throw some clothes on real quick. But man, it is just so powerful when you just let go and start to embrace what the future holds. So with that, Patty, I think it's a great point to end on. Is there anything else you want to say? Anything just pop in?
Oh no, it's just, my mind is just racing back to the time that we did go through, in New Mexico, the Blue Hole of Santa Rosa, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's what it was called. And this kind of relates to what you were saying with the map that you were drawing there. Even though we had a general plan. We knew that we want to see the Grand Canyon. We know that we want to go through Las Vegas, up to Chicago, and all kind of stuff. But at any one point, we could have taken the different turn that we intended to. And we did on so many occasions. It was spontaneous. It was fun. We were free. We were doing what felt right in the moment. And we were enjoying every single second of it. We were loving the time. And I think
Absolutely
with that,
incredible.
it's a great place
incredible.
to stop this episode.
Oh my goodness. Well, hey y'all, thank you so much for joining Patryk and I here on episode 32 of Project Dream Mastery. So excited to have you here. In the next episode, we're going to be focusing in on the 30-second upload. Travel away. Really, stay tuned for the next episode. It is going to be very unique, to say the least, because you just don't realize how much time can affect the rest of your life if you just give it the chance to truly make an impact on your life. So with that, make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, the whole 9 yards, and we'll see you on the next episode of Project Dream Mastery. Thanks.